On the 7th of October, the world changed, not only for Israel, not only for the Jewish people, but for the region, for the world. That day was not just a terrorist attack, it was a revelation, a mask being torn off. Hamas's massacre was not only a crime against humanity, it was a window into the ideology that has been slowly advancing step by step across regions and into the very heart of the West. For decades, Europe has lived in denial. Politicians told themselves and their people that radical Islam was a marginal problem, a small extremist fringe. They convinced themselves that accommodation, open borders, and appeasement would somehow transform those who despise Western values into peaceful neighbors, peaceful citizens. They dismissed every warning, every terror attack, every anti-Semitic march as isolated incidents. October 7th shattered that illusion. Because what happened in southern Israel was not just about Jews. It was not just about Israel. It was about an ideology that believes it has the right to impose itself through violence, through intimidation, through fear. The same ideology that told Europe to look away while synagogues were burnt in France, while journalists were slaughtered in Paris, while women in Sweden were told to cover their hair in public housing estates. And suddenly, the West woke up. The images from Israel, families butchered in their homes, children kidnapped, women raped, hostages dragged into tunnels, resonated in London, in Berlin, in Brussels, in Paris, because people realize what begins with the Jews never ends with the Jews. The terror of October 7th is the same terror that struck New York on 9/11, the same terror that bombed Madrid and London, the same terror that murdered priests in their own churches in France. The Middle East, too, has been reshaped. For years, Israel was told that the conflict with the Palestinians was a core issue of the region, that if only Israel made concessions, peace would come. But October the 7th revealed a different truth. Hamas is not fighting for borders, it is fighting for obliteration. And the Arab world, from Saudi Arabia to the Emirates, know that Israel's war is their war too. Their war against the forces of fundamentalism, which has already caused so much bloodshed in the region. Iran's fingerprints were all over October 7th, just as they were all over Hezbollah, the Houthis, and militias in Iraq. The battle lines in the Middle East are no longer about Israel versus Arabs. They're about civilization versus barbarism. But the battlefield is not only in Gaza or Lebanon. It is in the streets of London, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, where after October 7th, hundreds and thousands marched, not in outrage against the atrocities of Hamas, but in solidarity with them, where chants of "From the River to the Sea," a call for the eradication of Israel, echoed proudly in Western capitals. The same Europe that prided itself on tolerance has discovered that under its nose, an entire generation has been radicalized. And this is the deeper awakening. For years, the West thought that integration was automatic, that values of freedom, democracy, equality would simply pass by osmosis. Instead, what we now see is cultural capitulation. Sharia zones, anti-Semitic marches, universities hijacked by extremist slogans, politicians too cowardly to defend their own heritage. It is a slow takeover, not by armies, but by intimidation and demographic pressure. And October 7th was the spark that made the scale of it undeniable. This is not about Muslims as a whole. Millions live peacefully and reject violence. But it is about a political, religious movement that seeks domination, not coexistence. And unless Europe finds its courage, unless it defends its values unapologetically, it risks becoming the next front line. So where does that leave us? October 7th was a tragedy, an atrocity, a massacre, but also a turning point. It reminded Israel that its survival depends on strength. It reminded Arab leaders that Iran is their greatest threat, not Israel. And it reminded Europe and the West, or at least those willing to see, that the fight for freedom starts with moral clarity, cultural confidence, and the courage to say, our civilizations, our values are worth defending. The choice is simple. Either the West learns from October 7th and finally stands firm against the ideology of jihad, or it will sleepwalk into submission. Israel is fighting on the front lines. The question is, will everyone else?